If you think that there are multiple types of visuals or diagrams in task 1 and that you need to have a separate strategy for each of them, you're wrong. The good news is there are only 4 types of visuals in task 1 and that you only need 4 types of strategies. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can write each of these task types. So if we are dealing with a time element, meaning that time causes the changes in the data, we're dealing with a trend task. In these types of tasks, the data change over a given time period or over 2 or 3 separate years or months. And because of that, we call them trend tasks. Now, on the other hand, if time does not cause changes in the data, but the data change across different sectors, different cities, or different age groups, for example, then we're dealing with a comparison task. Now, these can look like line graphs, bar charts, pie charts. We don't care how they look. We care about the nature of the data and how the data change. And then there are map tasks, which are really easy to spot and really easy to write. And then there are process tasks. Now, then the question becomes, how do we write each of these task types? So in the rest of the video, I'm going to show you exactly that. First, there are 2 steps we need to take for all of these task types. One, we have to recognize the task type, and 2, we have to analyze the diagram, meaning we have to identify the key features and group those key features based on their similarities and differences. And for trend tasks, we simply need to identify the key features and group those based on their overall trend. If, for example, there are 3 key features, 2 of them are witness a rising trend and 1 a falling trend, then we can group those 2 upward trends together and write the other one in a separate paragraph. So how we group those key features determines how many body paragraphs we're going to have. Then for trend tasks, we write 3 things for each of our key features: the beginning point, how the data changes or the data behavior, and the end point. And we also have to make comparisons between these categories, these key features, as we write them. We also have to include the peaks and the troughs in the diagram in our report. Now let's move on to comparison tasks. First, we identify the task type, then we analyze the diagram, and we group the key features based on their size or similarities and differences. And all we have to do is compare these categories, these key features, as we write them. If there are 2 diagrams, for example, one shows energy use and the other shows emissions, we can write about the first diagram, the energy use, in one paragraph, comparing its categories, saying things like cooling uses twice as much energy as lighting. Compare those categories, and then we write about the second diagram in the second body paragraph, and we compare the categories, and we can also compare the 2 diagrams as well. Now let's move on to map tasks. Usually we're given 2 different types of maps. One shows how a place looks now or how it looked in the past, and the second map shows that place after some changes have taken place. Now, first we need to analyze the maps, identify the key features. These can include anything that's been added, anything that's been removed, anything that's been changed in some way or made bigger or smaller, anything that's been kept the same, and anything that's been replaced. We identify these changes in the second map, and then we start describing the first map in one separate paragraph and report the changes in another paragraph. We report these changes that we identified. And finally, how do we write process tasks? Well, process tasks are really easy and straightforward. We have to first understand where the process starts, how it changes, and where it ends. And then we can group these steps into 2 key stages. We write each key stage in one separate paragraph. And then for writing, we report these steps as if we're describing a story to the reader or the examiner. And then we start writing in details One common problem I see most candidates have when it comes to process tasks is that they run out of words. And the reason is they do not write in details. For example, instead of saying cans are collected and transferred to somewhere else, you can start by saying that humans buy canned products. They use them and discard them in trash bins. Then those cans include different types of materials as it is shown in the process. And then these cans are collected and transferred to blah, blah, blah. So you have to describe the story in details for the reader. Now, if you found this video useful, make sure you subscribe to my channel because in the next videos, I'm going to show you practical examples from Cambridge IELTS books. And I'm going to show you step by step how you can write those task 1 diagrams. I will also give you tips and strategies for all the other skills. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss those videos.